We good.
Good? Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Check. Okay. Hey everyone, it's Shannah. And it's Hannah. And today we have Alana with us. Miss Fancy Navajo. Welcome. Thank you for joining. This is our first official video for our channel. So thank you everyone for watching. And so for those of you that don't know, this is Alana. She goes by the Fancy Navajo on Instagram. And then what are your other social medias?
So I'm also on Facebook, the Fancy Navajo blog, as well as thefancynavajo.com.
Okay. And how long have you been Fancy Navajo, or how long has the fanciness been going on?
So I started the Fancy Navajo about 4 years ago, and it was just a way for me to have a creative outlet, because at the time I was in a job that wasn't really very creative, so I needed a space where I could express that creativity.
Awesome. Cool. And where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Fruitland, New Mexico, so that's up in the Four Corners area.
Nice. Okay. And how long have you been living in the valley?
I've lived in the valley for about, I want to say 6 years.
Okay, cool. Awesome. We would like to know what is the most resiest thing you've done.
Resiest thing I've ever done. Oh my gosh. So a lot of what I do is kind of fusing resi with fancy. So let's see here. I know sometimes my res accent will come out. Occasionally I'll say something, I'll be over there, or point my lips. But yeah, I think it just comes naturally. Probably the pointing with the lips, especially if I'm talking to my husband, I'm over there. What are your most resiest moments now that you've asked me?
Oh my gosh. I think I have a lot, just because my family, we can go off on whole tangents with the res accents and stuff. Res accents. But I think when I was in Disneyland with Shannah and Jared, I was oh my gosh, I want to go get some Dole Whip. I thought I said Dole Whip perfectly enunciated, but no, I said Dole Whip. And then Jared's what? What are we getting? I was we gotta go get the Dole Whip. And then he's why is she saying it like that? And he's what is that? And then I was oh man, I just gotta go further into it. And I was come on, hey, let's go get the Dole Whip. And so, but that was, I think, mine that I just remember off the top of the head. Yeah.
I always call it my husband when he does that. I'm your res accent.
Especially if because with social media you don't really know a person, so if something like that slips out, it's funny to kind of be hey, you do that too, oh cool.
How about you, Shannah?
Well, I'm definitely the most res of our little team. But it's okay. I grew up on the res my whole life. Lived in Greasewood, went to school in Holbrook. But I feel daily I have words that slip out. Pretty legit. Yeah. When we're at work in the office, well, it's super cool because Shannah's super boss mode. She'll be Jared, you gotta do this and this and this, we gotta plan this and this, and then get to this point, and then within that moment she'll have a little res accent slip, and you're just oh, just cute. I know sometimes I'm at my computer, I'm did they hear that? And then I hear laughing, I'm there's no hiding it.
I'm crying laughing here.
We talked about fusing. So you do a lot of baking, and you do a lot of blue corn in your recipes. What made you think oh, I should try putting this in my cupcake or whatever?
So I enjoy cooking. I've always loved cooking at a young age, and I'm always trying to find new ways to cook, because when you cook certain things, it can get a little bit boring. So just to kind of spice it up a little, I just try different things, I guess. And I'm a total foodie, so I think that's where it comes from. So I like to eat out, try the biggest Yelp thing, and usually, I don't know, it's just fun. It just makes eating food fun, cooking food fun, and I just come up with these ideas. I experiment with it in the kitchen, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's just fun. It's just fun to fuse like different things. Like you said, my fancy blue corn cupcakes. That kind of just came from, I wanted to do something when I first reached 1,000 followers on my Instagram, and I knew I wanted to do a cupcake, but I didn't want to do something just like simple like a cupcake. So I was like, how could we make this fancy? So I just kind of went in my pantry, and I have a lot of blue corn because my mother-in-law likes to give me a lot of blue corn. And I was like, oh, I need to use this. And so I just, I was like, oh, we can do blue corn cupcakes. And, I just kind of experimented with the recipe because I didn't want it to be like cornbread or like corn muffins.
Yeah.
So it took a while to like figure out how I wanted it to be, and that's how it came, and it's been like one of my most popular recipes on my blog right now.
Awesome.
People make it all the time, which is so flattering. The other thing I made was Fancy Navajo boba almond milk tea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I want to try that.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
I love boba.
Me too. It's so good, and I think a lot of like natives like it. So I think it really got people interested in it because they like boba as well.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of came from my husband. So my husband really helps me sometimes when it comes to ideas. So we did that together, and it's really good. And I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more fancy by teaching people how to make almond milk, just because a lot of natives are lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
So I gave them like a non-dairy option, and almond milk is like so easy to make, like incredibly easy. So yeah, you should check it out on thefancynavajo.com.
So, as you can see, Alana is like super fashionable and just like all the time. I've never seen her like not like really awesome looking. So I would like to know, like, what is your favorite like clothing piece that you have?
I wouldn't say there's necessarily like a specific clothing piece. I know I'm naturally drawn to like dresses and skirts, which is so weird because growing up I was kind of like a little bit of a tomboy.
Oh!
I was very rebellious, like I'm not gonna wear a dress, I'm not gonna wear pink. So it's kind of crazy, like the fashion I'm into right now is very like skirts and blushes and all these pretty pastel colors.
Yeah.
But I really like dresses, and obviously turquoise jewelry.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite. My husband actually makes jewelry at the Turquoise Hogan. So a lot of the stuff that I wear are pieces that he makes, and I think it's just like the perfect little accessory that you can add to your outfit to make it a little bit more personable. So dresses and definitely turquoise jewelry.
Nice.
You got the hookup though. That's like gold.
I know.
'Cause, like, us native women love our turquoise.
Yeah.
You got someone who will make them for you.
I know, it's so hard because sometimes my husband, he'll finish like a piece and he'll just show me, and I'm like, what? Like, are you giving this to me? And he's like, no, I'm just showing you. And so like sometimes with the rings, like I'll put it on, I'm like, oh my gosh, it fits. He's like, no, Alana. I was like, okay, just kidding. But it is nice because like I do get like the first pick of things, so it's good and bad, but yeah, it's nice.
Awesome. Do you get to put like your input in any of the design that he does?
Yep. So we have a couple of earrings that have bows on them. Like earrings kind of similar to this, like where the silver part is a bow. And I told him, I was like, we're gonna call that the Fancy Navajo line.
Yes.
So yeah, usually I'll put in my input, especially we have these sheet pins. So he's the one that created those out of an idea that I talked to him about. So
That's awesome.
That is adorable. Oh my goodness. I have a question. So like with social media and like big events that like are the general like people we follow and like communicate with on social media, like powwows or just like fashion shows, like have you ever been like starstruck or just like full fangirl mode like with anyone?
Yes. So this past year, I was at the Santa Fe Indian Market Fashion Show. So I'm also the stylist for Acronav. And so I was in the back working, and Patricia Michaels, I don't know if you know who Patricia Michael is. If you don't know, she is I think it's Taos Pueblo fashion designer who was on Project Runway. And she was like literally like 2 feet away from me, and like I was trying to keep my cool, but like deep down inside I was like, oh my gosh, that's Patricia Michaels. And like, you know, I'm in this room of like these super like high fashion people, and they're like, you know, just like all acting beautiful and just like have it together, and I'm over I'm New Joniful, and here I'm the one that's like, oh my gosh, it's Patricia Michaels. And so I was like, okay, Alana, you gotta keep it cool, you gotta keep it cool. Like, I was like trying to wait for the opportunity to like talk to her, because like we're all working backstage, and so I can't just go up to her and be like, oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. And I was like nervous too, which is so weird, because like I used to be really shy, but like I feel like with the whole thing with the Fancy Navajo, I've really had to like be more open and not as nervous or scared, but like I was like legit nervous, like shaking, like oh my gosh. So finally at the end, I walked up to her and like I talked to her, and she was so sweet. She asked like what I did, and I told her that I loved her on Project Runway. And she asked what I did, and she thought it was amazing, and we just had this little moment together, and it was just like so cool. Like she was so down to earth, because I feel like, you know, sometimes when you meet someone big like that, you know, it could either be good or bad. But in this case, it was really good. She was very very nice, and she had nice words to say to me.
That's so good. Yeah, because I go through those too. I have major fangirl moments, but I'm glad you weren't like me and you kept her cool. And I'll just scream. She'll be like, oh my god! Yeah, they'll be like 2 feet away and be like, it's them! And I'm like, oh, I think they have ears. They can hear me. I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry.
You know, when I did take the selfie though, like I was kind of shaking. My picture was like kind of shaky, because I was like trying to like get us both in there. But I was like so nervous. But it was fun. I'm glad I had the opportunity to like be in the same room as her, because that was really neat.
I bet. That's incredible. It's always good to have those like really nice moments too with people that are equally like super nice and sincere.
Yeah, especially like when they're really humble. Like I think that's really cool. Because it's never a good thing when you meet someone like either they're famous or like social media famous, and when you meet them and they're like total jerks, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like you're so disappointed.
But yeah, that looks wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I had so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on today. Thanks everyone for watching. We will link all of Alana's social media profiles and her blog. If you have any questions for her, always reach out. She's super sweet, and she like responds to everybody. And then our next video, we're planning it out, so you'll just gotta stay tuned.
I can't wait.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes.
This is where we do one on our faces.